Hi, boys and girls.
If you subscribe to my channel, as you should, if you're not, shame on you, we've tested some very expensive Ford trucks in the past couple of weeks. For example, here's the Ford F-150 with the 3.0 diesel. Nice truck, but a lot of people were saying $69,000. Wow. And the week after that, we had a Ford F-250 with the 6.7 turbo diesel. $84,000. That brought some sticker shock. So this week we have another Ford F-150 with a slightly more reasonable price and a bit more utility. It should be no surprise the vehicle I'm talking about is the 2019 Ford Raptor pickup truck, since that is what was in the video YouTube title. Yep, Raptor. That's what it says right here on the decal. This is definitely one of the nicest looking trucks Ford has ever made. Although in all honesty, I think they kind of overdid the advertising with the big Ford emblem on the tailgate. Could it be any larger? The base price of a Raptor, as you see, is $55,840 if you get the crew cab. A bit less if you get the extended cab. And they'd like to load these up with options, most of which I can live without, like this one here. Now it'd be nice to have that 410 front axle, but do I really need all this other stuff? For $9,000, I think I'd pass. I think I'd fork up the $1,000 for the graphics package. All told, the price came just under $74,000. Again, you don't need all those options. I'd order one with a flat $56,000, but that's me. In any case, let's take a close look and see what we're getting for the money. You probably already know these are intended for serious off-road use. You know that just by looking at the tires anyway, and wheels. These are alloy wheels that cost extra. We got skid plates under there for bouncing around big rocks and 11.5 inches of ground clearance. The expected tow hooks. We get a set of high-performance shocks and impact resistors. Fancy terminology there. I'm told that a set of all four on this truck cost almost as much as the motor. Must be true or they wouldn't say it. Here are your drive modes: two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive automatic for the street, four-wheel drive high, four-wheel drive low. I do believe this is for locking differentials, getting unstuck. I'm told there's some sort of off-road cruise control that operates between 1 and 20 miles per hour. I haven't found that yet. Don't think I'll be using it. Maybe I'll find it later on in the video. A lot of people were upset when they pulled the V8 out of the Raptor and replaced it with a 3.5 EcoBoost. But if you want horsepower and torque, a turbo is the best way to get it, and that's why we have here the 3.5 Turbo EcoBoost. Cranked up to 450 horsepower, 510 pounds-feet of torque, at 3,500 RPM, hooked to a 10-speed automatic transmission. The official EP rating, 15 miles per gallon in the city, 18 on the highway. We'll be racking up a lot of miles on this vehicle to find out the real-world fuel economy and evaluate the performance. We're shooting for 600 miles, might go even more. So don't go away. Speaking of fuel, I'm going to take time out to show you something you may or may not know. A lot of people don't. If you have a Ford truck or any Ford vehicle with this easy capless fuel fill cap, here's something you should know. Back in the old days, if you were running out of fuel, it was very simple. You got a gas can or a funnel, and you put gas in the truck. Not so on this vehicle. These Ford Easy Fill tunnel systems have an internal lock. Only the pump nozzle at the gas station will fit. Anything else, gas can, funnel, you're out of luck. Won't work. The only way you're going to get fuel in here, if you have a gas can or funnel, is to use this Ford Design adapter, which you should find in your toolkit or spare tire kit. If you have one, don't lose it. If you don't have one, get it. Because this is the only way you're going to get gas in this Raptor or any other Ford with this easy fuel if you're not at a gas station. A lot of people don't know that, and I've seen them get stranded. Make sure you don't. Getting back to the truck, the spray and brad's a $600 option, as is this folding step, which you might want. Makes it a lot easier to step in. That adds to the price too, of course. This side step is one thing I do not like about the Raptor. I cannot stand sissy boards. Excuse me, step boards. But apparently that's what we're getting. I like the power operated ones that come out when you step out and go back in when the truck is parked, but I guess they didn't want to add that much weight. We're already up to 5,700 pounds dry. I'm told the payload on this bed is 1,200 pounds. And the towing ability is 6,000 to 8,000 pounds, depending on the cab you get. And yes, the Raptor is a wide truck. 86.3 inches compared to 96 inches for the wide dually. The dually will not fit in a car wash, but this will. I've done it before. Before we do some driving, let's take these headlights out in the dark and see what they do. All the other Ford F-150s I've driven lately and 250s did quite well. I expect these will too. Okay, the mean beast has lit up his eyeballs. Let's take out these lights to see what they do in the dark. Are the brights on? Oh, I don't think they are. Now they are. That's more like it. Except I've blinded. My night vision's gone. Oh well. Here we have the low beams on the building 100 feet away. Nice and bright. Decent height. It's what, 2.5 feet, I think. Go to high beam. There we go. Certainly bright in the middle. Here we have the brights on the building 300 feet away. Good height, good spread. Go low beam. Pretty low. Reaches out about 260 feet, but again, low, but adequate. Here's what the headlights look on the freeway at night. Got the brights on, adequate enough. Low beams, okay, but I find myself turning on the brights a lot more often. The dash light's up pretty good too, which is a nice design to begin with, even in the daytime. Same with the climate control infotainment system. Lights up like a Christmas tree. Normally in my videos I cover all the cabin specs and comfort features, but we're not going to do this on the Raptor. We're here for economy performance. All the other YouTube videos cover the interior, so I'm going to go ahead and just get on with the driving. But I will say, Ford's done a great job with their cabin designs, far better than anyone else, except maybe Ram. The others are way behind. One of the big complaints I always hear about on full-size trucks with electric power steering is how the steering basically sucks, because it's too light, has no feel, etc., but we don't have to worry about that on the Raptor, or any of the Ford F-150 or 250s I've driven as of late. Feels pretty good to me. I'm sure these giant tires help. A lot of truck testers have been telling us that the handling of the Raptor is horrible in corners. Like a glistening sailboat, said one person, and I think they're full of BS because I've driven Raptors and they handle pretty good to me. If you hear any strange noises, it's just the gear I have in the cabin flopping around. We're in two-wheel drive, by the way. Let's try it in all-wheel drive. Seems a little better. On the street, you're not going to be taking corners any faster, so I'm not complaining, and I don't think you will either. If you watch my videos, you know, one of the things we do with our test vehicles is take speed bumps around 20 to 25 miles per hour to see how the suspension performs on impact. It seems rather silly to do so in a Raptor because with this suspension setup, you can take potholes and ruts at 40 to 50 miles per hour. These speed bumps will be no contest, but hey, I'm already here, so let's do it. Let's bump it up to 30 miles an hour. Bump number 1. To hit the bump, I didn't feel anything. 35 miles per hour. Another bump. The big nasty one coming up. Went right over it. I think we're really going to enjoy our off-road adventures coming up. For the next 48 hours, we're going to take this Raptor on a nice long trip. On-road, off-road, freeway, low elevation, high elevation. Well, you'll see as the video progresses. So sit back and enjoy the ride. And chip in some gas money. Running this rig's expensive. We're climbing up to 6,000 feet, and I have to admit the torque output from this 3.5 EcoBoost is very impressive. Not strained at all. Our first major city, time for a pit stop. Okay, from an elevation of 1,200 feet to 6,500 feet, that's a lot of uphill climbing. 13.5. Not bad considering the power, but I can see this is going to be an expensive trip. Holy cow, and I got like 5 or 6 more of these stops. You guys need to subscribe so I can get more money from YouTube. At freeway speeds, the Raptor is quiet, aside from wind noise on those outside mirrors, which is probably being amplified by the cheap microphone on this camera. But in person, you really don't hear the wind noise that much. And this is a pretty comfortable vehicle to drive on the highway. Now that we've leveled off, the fuel economy hopefully will be better. We'll see when we pull over down the road. Of course, 15 miles per hour in a 60 zone. I wonder how long this is going to take. We just finished our 3rd refill by staying on level ground and keeping the speed around 70 miles per hour. We did reach 18.6. Can't complain about that. These are ideal conditions. It's time to get off the pavement and do some off-roading, and I see we got some steaks waiting for me here. Prime rib, baby. And they got the bulls blocking the road. You got to give them a bale of hay or they won't let you pass. It's called a toll road. Good grief, look at the horns on that sucker. Don't bend over in front of him. There's 3,000 square miles of nothing out here, aside from a few cabins, cows, snakes. You do not want to break down out here. They'll never find you. I've driven on this road before with the nasty impacts, and on a regular truck, you got to keep the speed around 15 miles per hour, 20 max. Otherwise, the truck will start shaking apart, but not here. I'm doing 45 to 50, and the suspension is sucking up all the nasties with ease. Very impressive. Well, according to the navigation system, I just pulled off the road in the middle of a desert, no road. And obviously that's not true because this is the main road. Which is why I use paper maps instead of navigation maps. These have some accuracy problems occasionally too, but not as much. I like the fact we have an electronic compass. One good feature that keeps you from getting lost. Well, hopefully. We've got this set up too. Something to entertain you while you're bouncing around all over the road. If you came along this ride for a view, well, here you go. That's a long ways down. My, that's a long drop. It's getting pretty desolate out here. Well, I stopped by to see if the old homestead needed a new coat of paint, but I think I'm a little bit too late. And there aren't too many Home Depots out here. Guess I'm out of luck. Well, it was a 2.5 hour drive, but it was worth it. Visit the old ranch house. This is where I spend my vacations, but it looks a little run down. I need to see if the dump trucks are still running. Let's go take a look. Just for your information, the road back here is extremely nasty. You need a good vehicle like a Jeep Rubicon, Ford Raptor, something with high ground clearance and lots of traction. However, most of the time, if I come in other vehicles, I'm engaging four-wheel drive about 30-35% of the time. I have not put this Raptor in four-wheel drive once. These tires are so big, I just don't need the traction. Not yet. It's been two-wheel drive all the way. Looks like I got my time wrong. It wasn't 2.5 hours, it was 4 hours and 47 minutes. But those were some rough trails. Time flies, I guess. But look at this, I got 17.4 mpg. That's a pretty good figure for off-roading, I would think. After all that driving, the Ford's still in pretty good shape, but I think the dump truck needs a new set of tires. Been sitting out a bit too long. Could use an oil change, too. Well, let's go outside and take a peek. Well, this used to be the bedroom, and we had a kitchen all the way in the back, but the rats got in, started spreading the plague. Everything had to be torn out. They were going to burn the building down, but I'm glad they didn't. Home sweet home. For all you relic hunters, here's a spot to dig. Stuff down there since the 1880s, but unfortunately, it's the outhouse, and I don't feel like digging down there for all the goodies. This little red strip here on the steering wheel is pretty clever. It allows you to know the exact position of your steering wheel without taking your eyes off the road. It comes in pretty handy when you're going through narrow trails with deep drop-offs on the side edge. Simple ideas always work best. It's time to start wrapping up this video, and especially time to wrap up this trip, because it's going to be dark soon and you do not want to be out here in the dark because all kinds of strange creatures come out of those holes up there in the caves at night, and you don't want to be around here when they do. So let's get adios. We started this journey early in the morning as the sun was coming up. As you can see, it's about time in the evening for the sun to go down. During that time, we made a couple stops for fuel. Let's look at the clock and see just how long we've been driving this thing. Looks like I've been in the saddle for 15 hours and 6 minutes, racking up 587 miles. In any other 4x4, I would have been worn out by now, but I'm pretty much comfortable. I could probably do another 587 miles, but frankly, I've run out of places to go, so we're going to rack up another couple of 100 miles going home and get something to eat. And I think I'll title this 800 miles in 24 hours instead of the 48 hours we planned. Oh yes, and our fuel economy averaged out to be 15.1, which is pretty respectable considering all the off-roading we were doing. I can live with that. So now that we're done with our test, what's my take on the Ford F-150 Raptor? Well, I think it's definitely worth the 55,000 bucks. The options, maybe not so much. But this is a very nice truck with great performance, especially if you like going off-road. Some of my redneck buddies are telling me, just an overpriced toy, I could build one cheaper myself. No, you can't. And even if you could, what do you do when you sell it? Your resale value will be down the toilet. Could be just another redneck modified truck nobody wants. This is a truck that everybody wants and has great resale value. Good build quality too. But even at 55 grand with none of the overpriced options, it's still expensive to buy. Sucks gas like crazy, so it's expensive to keep up. But if you can afford it, you'll be totally pleased, I think. Here are some links to other Ford trucks we've driven lately. Just click and watch. And subscribe. I need gas money.